Today on Art Club, we're going to be learning about an artist from Brazil named Romero Brito, and we're going to create a work of art inspired by him. First, we're going to read this story called Masterpiece. It's written by Jane Breskin Zalbin. Masterpiece, a mouse-sized guide to modern art. The dedication on this book says, "For my mother, who took me for art lessons at the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and in memory of my father, who called my paintings love pictures." Jansen lived in a museum tucked in the corner of a room filled with beautiful old furniture. Each night after the museum closed, she loved to explore in the dark, until one night she came to a place she had never seen before. And her little world opened. She began to draw pictures like the ones she saw on the walls. Jansen painted in dots, squares, circles, triangles, squiggles and wiggles, and stripes. She cut bright, flat shapes, bursting with bold colors. She painted inside the lines and then outside them, dripping paint everywhere. She put her face on a soup can and tried sculpture. Then, one night, she saw a big sign, "Modern wing closed for renovation." All the walls were bare, and she could no longer visit any of her favorite paintings. So Jansen worked on her pictures and left them in an empty room each night, until one by one the walls were filled with art. The more she painted, the happier she became. One day, the head of museum saw them and said, "Whose work is this?" Jansen whispered in the tiniest voice, "Mine." "Absolutely brilliant. We must give you an exhibition," said the museum director. "A show? For me? I'm fainting." People came from far and wide to see the work of the budding artist. Some loved it, others didn't. Too much detail, not enough detail. It's very Bauhaus, a masterpiece. This is art. Is this art? Genius. Where's the bathroom? But the last picture was Jansen's very best. It made her happier than anything she had painted. It was a masterpiece. Ta-da! Because she did it her own way, in her own style, unlike anyone else's. And that is when Jansen knew she had become a true artist. Here's a note from the author, the person who wrote this book. "I named my heroine Jansen in honor of H.W. Jansen, whose history of art was the Bible we used when I was an art student in college. We had to memorize each image in the book, which covered prehistoric art to the mid-20th century. The question we continuously asked ourselves was, why is this art?" The end. That's Masterpiece. If you'd like to learn more about modern art and modern artists, the library has some great books, like this one. 13 modern artists children should know. Some of the artists we're featuring in the Art Club series are also featured in this book. Our featured artist for today, Romero Brito, is known for making colorful, fun paintings like this one. This one is called Sammy Cat. We're going to create our own work of art based on the original Sammy Cat, which looks like this, and a reproduction of Sammy Cat, which looks like this. What we're going to be creating is something in between. Let's go over some of the items you'll need to create your own Sammy Cat. Most everything is in the art kit that you picked up from the library. We're going to use acrylic paint, foam paint brushes, a small regular paintbrush, cotton swab and pencil, Mod Podge, which is like glue but dries clear, and a canvas. I began by laying down some paper under the canvas. I did this because we're working with Mod Podge, which can get a little bit messy. So you may want to lay something under your canvas. Now, if you open your art kit, you should see this. This is our Sammy Cat cut into 3 pieces. Each piece has a number on the back. This is piece number 1. This is piece number 2. And this is piece number 3. The difference between the original Sammy Cat and ours is that we're going to make our own background. This is the part where you can get creative. I'm going to use a ruler to make 4 squares on our canvas. You can do this with your own free hand, or you can use a ruler. I'm just going to use a ruler to make it a little bit more even. I'm going to start in the middle of the canvas and very lightly make a little line with a pencil. I'm going to make another faint line across the canvas. If you don't have a ruler at home, you can use a pencil and do it freehand. In your art kit, you should have small containers that look like this. They have different colors of paint. I'm actually going to put paint in this palette. You can use a paper plate and empty the container with the paint into the paper plate. Or you can just use the paint directly from your container. The first color that I'm using is fuchsia. You don't need too much because acrylic paint goes a long way. I'm going to take the foam paintbrush, which should also be in your art kit, dip it in the paint, and start painting one of the squares. You can paint this however you like. You can make the lines up and down or across. The next paint color I'm using is blue. Now you'll want to clean your foam paintbrush in between colors. You can have a cup of water nearby, dip it in the cup of water and make sure that all the color comes off. Or you can go to the sink and carefully rinse the color off of the foam paintbrush. Now we're taking the second color and coloring another square for our background. Again, you can paint it however you like. You can go across the canvas or you can go up and down. See how it helps to have paper underneath the canvas? It's catching all of the extra paint so we don't make a mess. The next color I'm going to be using in 2 of the squares is yellow. You don't need to make this perfectly straight because we're going to take a small paintbrush and make a black line to separate the 4 squares. So now our 4 squares are painted. Next, we're going to take the black paint and use a small paintbrush to paint a black line. The last step to making our background is to add little accents to each of the squares. I'm going to start by using the cotton swab and dipping it in the black paint. Then I'm going to make polka dots on one of the squares. You can place the polka dots wherever you like. Then I'm going to take the small paintbrush again and dip it in the black paint. And I'm just going to make stripes across this square. So now we painted two of our squares with little accents. On the blue square, I'm going to make what looks like little pieces of confetti. Just little black lines wherever you'd like them to be. On the last yellow square, I'm just going to make a few lines going down. If you'd like to go over the lines that you painted before, you can. Now we're ready to assemble our Sammy Cat. For this step, you'll want to rinse off your paintbrush so there's no paint on it. You can use the foam paintbrush or the small paintbrush that's in your art kit. I'm going to use a small paintbrush. You should also have a container in your art kit that looks like this. This is Mod Podge. We're going to use the Mod Podge to glue Sammy Cat onto the canvas. Once this dries, we're also going to use the Mod Podge to make a clear, shiny finish on the canvas. You just open your container of Mod Podge. Put a little bit on your paintbrush and paint the back of piece number 1. Make sure you get a good amount of Mod Podge on the back of your paper. This is also where you can get creative. You can place your Sammy cat however you like on the canvas. I'm placing mine right there. Next, take the piece that's labeled number 2 and do the same thing. Just paint the back of piece number 2 with the paintbrush using Mod Podge. Once you have enough Mod Podge on the back of your piece, just place it onto the canvas. Next is piece number 3. Just use your paintbrush and paint a good amount of Mod Podge on the back of this piece. Now place piece number 3 on the canvas. I'm going to let this dry for about 1 hour. Then I'm going to do the last step in our Sammy cat painting. I'm going to take the Mod Podge and cover the whole canvas with it. It's going to look like white glue when I first paint it on, but it dries to a clear finish and it makes the painting look really beautiful and shiny. After 1 hour, the Sammy cat painting has dried. The next step is to take the foam paintbrush and Mod Podge. Use the paintbrush to spread the Mod Podge on the entire canvas. When you first put the Mod Podge on the canvas, it's going to look like white glue, but it dries clear and shiny. So very softly, take the foam paintbrush and spread the Mod Podge onto the entire canvas. Very softly spread the Mod Podge over the cat without pulling the edges up. just like we did when we were painting. You should make sure that you have something under your canvas. We've finished spreading the Mod Podge on the canvas. This needs to dry for about 2 hours. When the Mod Podge dries, the canvas will have a shiny finish. Now let's learn a little bit more about our featured artist, Romero Britto. Romero Britto, the founder of the Happy Art movement, was born on October 6, 1963, in Brazil. Britto taught himself how to create art at an early age by painting on scraps of paper, cardboard, or any medium he could find. In 1983, Britto went to Paris, France, where he was introduced to the works of famous artists such as Matisse and Picasso. Britto was encouraged to travel to the United States, where pop art was flourishing. He has lived in Miami, Florida since 1989. Britto currently owns a gallery in Miami, but his work can be seen all over the world. Britto's work has been exhibited in galleries and museums in over 100 countries. He has also created many public art installations that are on display for all to see. Britto's happy art can also be seen on logos and designs for international brands such as Walt Disney, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and Avion, just to name a few. Romero Britto believes that the role of an artist is to bring positive change. Britto is an activist. He has donated time, art, and resources to more than 250 charities. Most of all, Romero Britto is an artist who believes that art is too important not to share. Here's our finished product. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Art Club. Make sure that you send us your photos so we can share it on our virtual art gallery in December.